podcast about the Napoleonic Wars by Napoleon Bonaparte. And in this episode, we're going to talk about the American Civil War. So, let's get started. Why don't we start by looking at the notes? Alright, now that we just got a brief introduction of the American Civil War, let's get started on it. As always, let's get started with the question from the book. How would the life of a slave be different from yours? Put your answers in the comments below or just email me in my email. Link in the description. Alright. After the American Revolution of America and the Napoleonic Wars, episode 2 and 4, I'll put them in the link description below. The American Civil War began. What happened between the American Revolution and the American Civil War? Well, there's a reason why. That's the reason why the American Civil War happened. Let's take a look at this map. I ran out of blue. So now, mainly focus on the green and red part. I just colored this purple just to see that it's not the states, but all right. The green part with the green states are the northern parts of the United States of America. This flag right here. They didn't make that flag yet. And the red part, the southern states of America. This flag. It didn't exist yet. All right. After a bit of presidency and after the 15th president was amended, a new president, the 16th president, started his presidency. And his name was, you might be familiar with it, and I've been there, Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln was an honest man, and he kept on promising every promise that he made, and he earned his nickname Honest Abe. Honest Abe. Get it? Honest Abraham Lincoln, Honest Abe. Moving forward. After Abraham Lincoln said that he wanted to abolish slavery, but he would not take anyone's slaves. As I said earlier, he would keep his promises. The Southerners were worried. They didn't want to lose their slaves, and they believed that Abraham Lincoln would take away their slaves. So they decided to declare their independence from the United States of America. But it's not there in the Declaration of Independence, though. And then they said that the southern states, slowly, one by one, went away out of the United States country. Some of them were still slave states, but they still stayed with the United States of America. And that state was called, new union, the southern states, they call themselves the Confederate States of America, or CSA for short. Oh, and they made this flag now. Now the United States flag changed. Not 50 though, 39. Moving on. After the North and South were separated from each other, there was a lot of battling. This started because of slavery, the act of slavery. A lot of slaves happened in the South and the southern states, while in the northern states it abolished slavery. Americans could live and have household. And, well, women were still treated poorly than men. Alright. Where do these slaves come from? Well, you might know that they have dark skin. And where does dark skin live? In Africa, of course. Well, they came from Africa. African Americans. Moving forward, the Confederate States of America were completely separated from the United States. And when Abraham Lincoln heard this, he declared war to conquer the Confederate States of America. I'll just call it CSA from now on. Again. So he was determined to keep the United States of America, USA, all in one country. So there was war, and that started the American Civil War. The North had plenty of supplies, they were wealthier, and they got a better economy. They used factories. While the South was the complete opposite. But the South did have one advantage though. Their advantage was that they had a general, a good general, called General E. Lee. General Robert E. Lee. All right. Robert E. Lee was the general of the South. The North had a general. First, there was a guy who just kept on playing all day long, and he did nothing for a whole year, so Abraham Lincoln fired him when he said no to every command and got tricked a lot. All right. And here's one surprising feature of Robert E. Lee. It's that he can read. It's like he can read his enemies' minds. I'm not even kidding. Now he even knew that the northern country, Abraham Lincoln's army general, was stupid. Well, he said that he was a fool, but I think he was a big hero. All right. So after that general of the North was fired from armying, a new general came, and that was Abraham Lincoln himself. But he didn't go on to the war front, so. Their plan was to just invade Richmond, so all of the countries in all the states in the South, the Confederate States of America (CSA), would surrender. Well, they did later surrender, but not because Richmond was captured. Moving on. One of the battles of the American Civil War made a turning point in the Civil War, and that battle is called the Battle of Gettysburg. Battle of Gettysburg. And after that battle, the speech was made, a long one. And then the president gave his own speech. It only lasted for 2 minutes, though. Shortest speech in American history. I have to say it in myself. And you might be familiar with that speech. Its name is... Just a minute, don't look. It's called the Gettysburg Address. This speech was just 2 minutes long, but it was ended with the most famous word in American history. It is government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And, well, people just started to complain that it was short, but shorter speeches doesn't mean that it's not good. After the Gettysburg Address, and after 4 years of fighting the American Civil War, General Robert E. Lee surrendered. Well, hard to get a dog. Well, after Robert E. Lee surrendered, there was a peace treaty and held into a house where a peasant man, wanted to go away from the Civil War and was angry when they first came in. Well, after the war was ended, the whole territory changed into one United States. And later, but Abraham Lincoln already lost his son, and he had not a lot of time to enjoy his victory. He was young enough to live for a few years though, but just after 5 days after the American Civil War ended, he was assassinated by a supporter of the South who still supported the South and wanted the United States to go back to the CSA in the USA, was named John Wilkes Booth. And he assassinated. So Abraham Lincoln was during at the play, and it was a comedy. He was there with some friends and his wife. After Abraham Lincoln and the audience laughed, John Wilkes Booth slowly went into it after being drunk, and then killed him by shooting him in the head and the back. and then he fled to a nearby country, to a place. It is unknown where he went, though. The president lived that shot, though. But after a day, and even in the morning, even in the darkness, he died. His family was heartbroken. Even after Abraham Lincoln died, he unified the country into one, and he, was good about it. Even after he died, the Americans started settling in the Purple Territories. They conquered it and they bought it from the Mexicans. And during that was happening, they went into a conflict with Indians. So join us next time in our next episode to learn about the Indians. I'll see you next time. Shanhan out. Oh, can you give me that water? Thanks. About the American Civil War. Let's get started on our writing. I hope that was short. Number 1, what did you learn about the American Civil War? And number 2, how would the life of a slave be different from yours? Put your answers in the comments below, or just email me at my email, I'll share it at the end of the video. What did you learn about the American Civil War? Well, I learned that the American Civil War is a war between a conflict between slavery, between the Union and the Confederate States. Hope you heard that clearly. And the president during that time was my all-time favorite, Abraham Lincoln. And he had the nickname Honor Slave. Also, the South General was Robert E. Lee, and these are the 2 flags for the American states. Oh, and there was the most famous Battle of Gettysburg, and the Gettysburg Address. And also that time, this Purple Territory was not even part of the USA, but later it will become it. And they will conquer it, and after that, the American Civil War, there will be a conflict between Indians. Indiana Jones. Dun, 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 dun. Number 2. How would the life of a slave be different from yours? Well, there are several opinions for me, but I'll just go for the top 1. I guess the top 1 is that even though a slave could be cruel harshly, there was still a real roadway to freedom by escaping to the north. And I just want to get away from this freedom of video making. No, I'm joking. Well, my freedom, I want some freedom when I just became older, and that's my roadway. As you become older, you get more independent, and for a slave, they're old or just a child, and if they want to be free, they can just flee to the north. Well, for us white people, we just grow up to become independent. Well, that's it for our answers today. What are your answers? Put your answer in the comments below, or just email me. See you next time in my extra history. Nice warm hot chocolate. Oh, it's you. Get this hot chocolate away, please. All right. Today's extra history is going to be about a famous slave, and his name is. Don't look. Don't look. Frederick Douglass. Wait, really? His name is Doug? Alright. Dun 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 dun. Alright, Frederick Douglass was a slave from childbirth. He was a slave when he was even a baby. His family has a master, and they were slaves, and he was originally African, but he became African American. Alright. Frederick Douglass didn't know he was a slave until he found out that he couldn't do anything that he wanted to do, only just scrapping for his master, that he thought it was his father. Well, Frederick Douglass was kind of not like it, and the masters of every state in the South, the CSA, didn't want their slaves to be educated. So if they were educated, they would know about the outside world and that there were a lot of slaves and that they were treated cruelly. Frederick Douglass was, however, secretly taught by his master's wife. And he learned how to read, but not to write yet. Frederick Douglass read a lot of books, and I mean a lot of them, thousands of them, secretly during at night time. And he found out that what the master didn't want him to find out. So one day he ran away from that family, leaving his mother and father behind, and went all the way to New York. I've been there once. And I heard of this Frederick Douglass once before, even before I made this channel. Right. He ran away to New York and he got married there, and he became free slave. He became a free slave. After he became free and married, he started a newspaper, an anti-slavery newspaper. Anti means against. Anti-slavery newspaper. And this was surprising to me because I just thought that he'd be afraid to even publish it in the North. But he was brave and he overcame his fears and he started the anti-slavery newspaper. This newspaper showed the world, including the South slaves, about how cruel the slaves of the United States and other countries were treated and the truth about slavery. He wanted the world to stop slavery. And well, I'm not so sure, but he did join the army. Well, that's it for today. I just wanted to tell you this. Today is a special day in Korea. We're in Korean calendar in Korea. And it is the Korean Independence Day. It is the 75th anniversary of the Independence Day of Korea. And cheer for the 75th Independence Day. 대한민국 만세! Translated in English, Go Korea! This is the 75th anniversary of the Independence Day, and well, it isn't the 75th anniversary if you're watching this beyond 2020. And let's get back to our episode. Location change. Today's video was sponsored by me. This video script was written by me. The writing and the drawing of these flags was written and drawn by me. This map and the others that I drew from the previous episode were drawn by me. The sources for this video were the Hands-on History book. This one is from Volume 4, Age of Imperialism. The notes and the stamping and the coloring and also the drawing of this map was drawn, written, colored, and stamped by me, local authorities. And with the help of my channel, Hans and Shun, I can do videos whenever I want, probably until I'm old. Oh, and I also want to make a new channel. If I do make one, I'll put them in the description below in the previous video. Speaking of channels, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and hit the bell button so you don't miss any of my videos. And if I do ask a question, please enter them in the comments below or just email me at my email 20jur@naver.com. Speaking of questions, today's question is, what is Abraham Lincoln's nickname? Is it A, Honest Dave, B, Honest Babe, or 3, Honest E-Babe? No.